Hi, this is Tara. Today, let's study Sutra number 38. But just before I begin, because I know that there have been quite a few new joinees, viewers, as well as listeners for the podcast, thank you for listening in. We are studying Patanjali's Yogasutras through 6 bhashyas. If you listen to the introductory episode, I've explained why, because we travel from traditional to modern, so we can get a range of perspectives, see what resonates with us. And rather than being the blind men who group different parts of the elephant, we can sort of figure out that there is a wholeness to truth and we are only learning aspects of it. Like all of you, I am just a student of yoga, as well as of the Yoga Sutras and of Indian philosophy. By no means am I an expert. So please also use this to encourage yourself to go to the original texts, to read, to study, to compare, and to also draw your own conclusions. Do like, share, subscribe. It allows me to keep this information, these resources free for everybody, and hopefully somebody will benefit from it. I also wanted to say sometimes I get asked questions like, which Yoga Sutra Bhashya will you recommend? And I'm nobody to recommend any of them. Just listen to all of the whole idea is to give you a comparison to see that the fact that the gurus themselves and the masters themselves give nuanced viewpoints and differ on very major points as well. So to see what resonates with you, and to use it as an instrument of seeking, not an instrument of absolute, this is it and nothing else is it. Also, some of you tend to struggle. For that, as I've explained in the introductory episode also, the Yoga Sutras are meant to be cryptic. Yoga is a form of Tantra in its original form, not in the form that is sort of passed around the world today, goat yoga and jazz yoga and all of that. But in the original form, yoga is Tantra. And without going too much into what Tantra is, the nature of Tantra is that it reveals itself to a suitable student. So what happens is that you may find a text that has the words, but simply reading the words does not mean you have understood the knowledge, because the knowledge has to reveal itself. And some of that is making the students struggle with it. Think of it like a sum of algebra. You're in second standard or third standard or whenever they taught us algebra, and everybody else gets this. Why am I sitting with these formulae, right? And it's not working for me. I'm not getting it. Yoga is a little like that. All Tantra is like that. You need the permission of the teacher. You need the blessings of the guru. You need to display, the yoga itself will demand that you display abhyasa and vairagya, effort and detachment and devotion also, as BKS Iyengar says. And the more you sit with it, the more it will reveal itself to you. So we are all struggling along. I would highly recommend just constantly reading another version, another bhashya, another master, applying it, see how it works for you. All the gurus have been very generous with their knowledge and have given us ways in which to apply these. So don't be disheartened if something is not making sense to you. Just go back and listen to, say, the previous sutras that do make sense. Come back, think about it, search for other sources, and definitely you will find your answers. So today let's start with Sutra number 38. What does it say? It says, svapna-nidrā-jñāna-ālambanaṃ va. Swapna, dream, nidra, sleep, jnana, knowledge, alambana, supported by, va, or. So in Maharishi Ved Vyasa's bhashya, he says, or having the knowledge of dream and sleep as its object of study. So what is he saying? By making the knowledge of dream and the knowledge of sleep the object of study, the mind of the yogi determines the shape and attains the position of steadiness. Vachaspati Mishra in his glossary gives a very beautiful and almost poetic example of if the yogi gets a dream of Maheshwara, okay, and he describes it in great detail, seeing Maheshwara standing there, with celestial objects and arms and this beautiful vision. And let's say you wake up from your dream. He's saying keep that feeling, keep that vision with you, use it, don't discard it as a dream, and use it as an object of meditation. So Patanjali says the sleep to be understood here is the one in which the light of the quality of essentiality appears, that is the sattvic sleep. Those of you who have been listening from Sutra 1, he is referring to Sutra number 10, in which he is explaining sleep as one of the 5 factors of perception, right? 5 kinds of knowledge. So he says this is that sleep after which one wakes up feeling that I have slept pleasantly. That is abhava pratyaya alambana tama vritti nidraha. So that is deep sleep is the fluctuation of obscuring, supporting, a non-appearance of psychic activity. In our study, it is marked as sleep is the absence of existence. So what this indicates is that the mind in that state becomes one-pointed. Now, Swami Satyananda translates it as, or else the mind can be made steady by giving it the knowledge of dream and sleep for support. So, Swami Satyananda says the mind can be controlled by developing the method of conscious dreaming and conscious sleeping. Now, let's think about this a little. For most of us, sleep is a state of unconsciousness. We are not conscious, okay, of the world around us. So conscious sleeping, he says, is the last state in antarmana. There's a method of seeing dreams consciously. However, he warns that it is dangerous and should not be practiced by everyone. If you go back to Sutra number 10, Osho in his bhashya says, he asks you to do an experiment. He says, in the sort of sandhya, in the period between sleep, waking and sleep, visualize a rose or hold a rose and visualize it, capture the image of it in your mind, and do it every day until the rose starts appearing in your dream. This is a state of controlling your dream. That is what Swami Satyananda is referring to. However, he is warning again and again, at least 3 times in this bhashya, that it is not for beginners. It is for people who have some amount of control over the imagery, the waking state, the sleeping state. So if you don't have a rigorous practice, if you don't have a serious practice, if you don't have a guru, I would not recommend that you experiment with these states, but it's good to know. He says this process may be beneficial, especially for those who are psychic. In conscious sleeping and dreaming, one develops consciousness of the states of dream and sleep. So usually we have unconscious dreams and we witness them. Okay, we experience them, but we're not really there, right? So however, he says we can control our thoughts by conscious thought control, subconscious thought control, or unconscious thought control. And in this process, not only the conscious actions in the intellect are controlled, but even the subconscious actions. So the yogi can control even the subconscious actions. And so during conscious dreams, one does not hear anything from outside. In conscious sleep, one goes on reading the book of sleep. So simply put, what he says is awareness of these 2 states can be made the support on which the mind can be concentrated. When you are able to control your conscious sleep, when you're able to control your conscious dreams, then you have achieved a state of concentrated mind. Again, he says it is only meant for people who are psychic. By saying people who are psychic, what he means is people who have some amount of control over the chitta. Swami Vivekananda says, or by meditating on the knowledge that comes in sleep. Sometimes a man dreams that he has seen angels, you're in an ecstatic condition, you hear the music, you feel like you've experienced this great vision. He's saying, hold on to it. Don't lose it. Okay, don't lose that vision. When you wake up, meditate on that emotion, that feeling, that state of bliss, the visual sort of component of it, and use it to sort of understand. BKS Iyengar says, or by recollecting and contemplating the experiences of dream-filled or dreamless sleep during a watchful waking state. Basically, BKS Iyengar is saying chitta has 4 states. These are unconscious, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. Now, the unconscious plane is that of dreamless sleep. So that is the point that we call sleep, nidra, where no dream, completely unconscious. The subconscious plane is where we get the dreams. These are swapna. This is a swapna state. Conscious plane is the jagrita state, that is the waking state. Superconscious is Turiya. Turiya is samadhi. He is explaining where the Jivatma merges with the Paramatma. So by observing the state of Nidra and the state of Swapna, that is the dreamless state and the dream-filled state, Nidra and Swapna, what will happen is we will start peeling the layers of the mind. We have a clearer impression of what is unconscious, what is subconscious, what is conscious, and therefore we will have a more concentrated mind. Think about it. If you wake up from your sleep and you say, I did not dream, you know that you were in an unconscious state. If you wake up from your sleep and you say, today I had this dream, you know you were in a subconscious state, okay, a dream state. And then when you are not asleep, you know you are in a waking state. So you already have peeled back 3 layers of the mind. When you contemplate, this is of course a very gross example, what BKS Iyengar is saying, when you contemplate and you make this very, very refined, very, very subtle, so that you have, even in your sleep, you have consciousness of whether you're in a dream state or in a sleep state, okay, a dreamless sleep state. You are understanding the layers of the mind. So he says the sadhaka should also contemplate on the thought of the soul before going to sleep, like Osho said in the Sandhya of the waking and the sleep, so that eventually your state of awareness between waking, dreamless, dream states become seamless. So you hold the same level of awareness, whether you're awake, whether you're dreaming, and whether you are not. He also applies this to asana and says that when you're weighing the pros and cons of asana, you're in the nidra state, and when you achieve some sort of stability and balance, you are achieving a more seamless state. Okay. When you are weighing pros and cons, you're in sapna, and when you are achieving balance, you are in nidra. But it is also that for one of the things my teacher has taught me, for instance, is the optimal duration for holding an asana is said to be around 3 hours, each asana. So just think of yourself in Virabhadrasana for 3 hours, okay? Or Chakrasana, or whatever you find difficult. For me, it's Uttitastapadangushtasana. I don't think I can balance for 3 hours. So, but basically, that is the level of absorption, that your balance is so unified. Your body, mind, spirit, everything is so unified that there is complete balance for 3 hours. So that is the optimal state. So Osho says, also meditate on knowledge that comes during sleep. And he says, we tend to think of sleep as some sort of an absence. We disregard it. We don't give it so much importance. However, he says sleep is not simply the negation of waking. It is not just one counteraction to your tiredness. It is an active presence in itself. And therefore, it is very, very important. So he says, don't disregard the knowledge that you're getting in the sleep state. Okay. He says, sleep is not just resting from waking, it's a different kind of activity. And the dream is a tremendous activity. He says dream is in fact more powerful than your thinking, because in the sleep, the mind is able to go to places that it is not able to go when you are awake. So when you're awake, you're using barely 10% of your entire consciousness. When you're dreaming, you're able to access more of those layers. So therefore, dream is in fact more powerful than waking. So don't disregard it. He says, when you start watching your dreams, you'll realize that 5 types of dreams happen. The first dream is just rubbish. Okay, it's just what's collected through the day. The second is a kind of wish fulfillment, all your desires. I'm missing somebody. I see them in my dream. The third is communication from the superconsciousness. And he says this is very rare. Okay, and you only feel it when you become very, very alert. I think in a previous sutra, Swami Satyananda, I think yesterday, so 37 or 36, I'm forgetting. Swami Satyananda also talks about the light, where he's talking about the luminosity, for meditate upon the luminosity. In that one, he's talking about how in your sleep you can be disturbed by a very bright light. So that is also a communication from the superconsciousness. The fourth type of dream, which comes from past lives. And the fifth type is in which you can see the future, you become prescient. If you meditate and become aware of your inner being in dreams, many more things will happen. But what Osho says is the most important thing that's going to happen is you become less and less convinced of the reality of your waking state. It is not objectively real in itself. And Barbara Stoller-Miller says, thought may also be brought to tranquility through the knowledge gained in the deeper states of consciousness, achieved in both dreams and dreamless sleep. These are separate from but not inferior to waking reality. Patanjali says they are abstracted from experience. I think that's a very important takeaway, that sleep is separate from waking, but it is in no way inferior to the waking state. Thank you so much for listening. Please do come back for tomorrow for Sutra number 39. To like, share, and subscribe.